Poor parenting, a lack of opportunities for young people, and materialism are some of the conclusions reached by an independent panel into last summer's riots. Set up after the disruption, the riot panel consulted with communities, local authorities and private sector employees to find out why it happened and what can be done to prevent it happening again. Now shortly you'll hear from a mother who says her teenage son has paid far too high a price after being sent to prison for his involvement in the riots. But first, one of the most famous incidents involved a woman since dubbed the heroine of Hackney, Pauline Pierce. Her famous attack on young rioters in East London became a YouTube sensation.
She's working hard to make her business work, and then you lot want to go and burn it up for what? Just to say that you're warring and you're bad man.
Dara Singh is the chair of the Riots, Communities and Victims panel who helped write the report.
The vast bulk of people we talked to were victims and communities themselves in riot-torn neighbourhoods, and they wanted two things to happen. First of all, obviously those people who committed criminal acts and damaged their businesses and their homes to be punished, but secondly, because of the long-term damage caused to their communities and the worries about crime and antisocial behaviour, they also wanted to focus on rehabilitation as well.
However, the authors of the report have been accused of using parents as scapegoats. Anne Longfield from the charity For Children said the report was too simplistic.
It's an easy answer and a quick answer to blame parents, but we have to remember actually that 80% of those that took part in the riots were over 18. These were adults responsible for their own behaviour, and these were violent criminal acts. Everyone we know that was around there at the time tells us that it was a free-for-all, it was individuals who thought they could get away with it and had nothing to lose.
And Pauline Pierce herself told the BBC that it might be too late for some parents to rein in their children.
These children have been brought up with it's not no parental guidance, but a lot of discipline has been taken away from parents. And as soon as the riots happened, it was, parents, we implore you to bring your children in. And how can you bring your children in when little Johnny hasn't been listening to you for the past 10 years? Because if you raise your hand, I'll ring the police, Ma. You know, and next thing you know, you've got a court case on your hands for disciplining your child.
Now, a mother whose son was sent to prison for 14 months for stealing goods worth £150 during the London riots said he has paid too high a price for an act of foolishness. Last year, Fiona James launched a campaign via Facebook for a review of how first-time offenders are dealt with. Her 19-year-old son, Rhys David James, a Britain's Got Talent dancer who reached the semi-finals last year, was jailed despite a judge commending him for a letter of apology. And Fiona joins us on BBC Radio Nottingham now. Very good to have you with us. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Reya.
Fiona,
Hi.
Tell us about your son, Rhys. He's recently been released from prison after serving 3 months of a 14-month sentence. Is he remorseful for his actions?
I can assure you he is remorseful. He was remorseful, as I said before, the 3 nights he spent in the police station, before he went to prison. So he is remorseful, Reya. It was a heated moment, and that's the best way to describe it, and he just got caught up in the wave of everything.
To a certain extent, he's one of the lucky ones because he's been able to resume his career teaching dance after being released. Others haven't been so lucky, but he must bitterly regret having got involved in the first place.
Yeah, he does. I mean, lucky for him, like you said, the people that he worked with were willing to, give him a chance. I mean, that's what we're talking about here in a sense. We all make mistakes, and we're talking about young people. They are only 18, 19. They may be at an age of knowing the difference between wrong and right, but they haven't actually experienced life like, a 30 or 40-year-old has. So they are still new and fresh to sort of these sort of decision-making.
You set out to fight for a review of sentences for first-time offenders, but many people may not be so sympathetic to people like your son, believing that he's been treated justly after committing a criminal act.
Yeah, I appreciate people's opinions. What can I say? That's the justice system. But we have to remember that in any other circumstances, a first-time offence would have had a conditional or suspended sentence or a community service. So I just feel that to blame poor parenting or is not enough. It's not good enough. I have heard of racist police in most recent days. There's a recording going around of officer who called a young black boy a name, yeah? We're talking about locking someone up for writing comments on Twitter. We really need to get to grips with what's going on in our